Hey guys, I'm Becky. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist here to help you understand more about your body, especially your pelvic health. Today, I'm going to answer a question I get all the time in my office. Is it bad to hold my pee in? That's kind of a loaded question, so let's dive in. Let's shed some light on what's going on down there. I think the reason why I get this question is because people are afraid that they are going to hurt their bladders either by overfilling the bladder or overextending themselves or waiting too long where they won't make it in time or giving themselves an infection like a UTI or a kidney stone. And so the question is very valid. Before we answer the question of is it bad to hold your pee in, I want you to understand how your bladder fills and send signals to your brain so that way you know kind of how full it is. What is your gauge while you're getting those signals? So a typical healthy bladder can fill up to somewhere between 5 and 600 milliliters. So that's somewhere in like the 32, 36 ounce range. So like 4 to 5 glasses of water. Now, most of the time you don't let your bladder get quite that full. You start getting urges actually way sooner than that. So the first time that you get an urge is about 150 to 200 milliliters. And so that's less than half, maybe even a third or less full, maybe even a quarter full. Your bladder gets a little tingle and the nerves tell your brain, hey, just so you know, no rush, but we're starting to fill up a little bit. And so you get the urge and you say, okay, well, I can definitely hold this right now. So you move on with your day. Second, more normal urge, or when typically people go to empty their bladders, is at around 300 mils. And again, your bladder gives a little spasm, a little tingle, tells your brain, hey, we're like getting to a pretty good spot. It might be worth taking a break. And so you go do your things and go pee and move on with your life. If for some reason you were able to go around that time, your bladder will start to talk to your brain a bit more frequently and you'll start to get the urge with a bit more regularity usually. And once you get to that 400 or 500 milliliter volume in the bladder, you really gotta go. Like you are racing to the bathroom at that point. And again, this is for a normal bladder. There's all sorts of times where the bladder doesn't fill quite that much or it fills way more than that, but we're talking about the regular person here. What I'm trying to say is even though you might get an urge to pee, it may actually be okay if you hold it for a little while, especially if it's just not the right time. Let's say you're finishing driving to work or you are trying to deal with your kid who's throwing a tantrum, or you are really engrossed in writing an email to someone. The problem comes when people wait for prolonged periods of time, like they're stretching it out hours and hours past when they really get that urge to go. Oftentimes it's because you work in an industry where you just are not afforded the time to get to go pee, which, boy, could we have a discussion about that, right? But some common professions where people just don't get time to go pee are teachers. You go 8 hours straight without a 5-minute break. I mean, and if you do get a break, it's to maybe eat some lunch or maybe grade a paper. Forget peeing. Nurses work 12-hour shifts and they're treating so many patients at a time, taking care of the patients. They aren't really given the opportunity themselves. Assembly line employees or people that work in warehouses, you have seen stories on the news about how people are not given time to go pee. Like they're not allowed to take breaks. So what happens when you do repetitively hold the urge to pee is that the muscle of the bladder itself starts to become desensitized and it doesn't really know when to send urges anymore. So it just fills more and more and more without sending signals to your brain telling you that you may need to go. This can lead to an abnormal filling or overstretching of the bladder. So if that 5, 6, 700 milliliter range is your maximum capacity, that might maybe become your new norm, which is not healthy. On the general though, If you're holding it for a little bit longer than maybe what you felt like you should, but you do go to the bathroom within, I'm making this range up, but 15-30 minutes of when you really feel like you gotta go. But if you aren't doing that regularly and you do actually then finally go pee, you're probably okay. And actually, sometimes holding the urge might be a good thing. My patients that have urinary urgency or a really strong need to go pee when maybe they shouldn't need to go so bad, we practice this technique all the time. We call it urge suppression, where you are purposefully denying yourself the opportunity to go pee because you're trying to tell your brain you're fine and now's not the right time. What questions do you have? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for checking out my work, guys. This is such a fun project, and I'm really glad that you're part of the process. We'll see you next time. Bye.